Good afternoon to all. Welcome to our faculty development program on smart cities and Internet of Things, sponsored by AICT Atal, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Tripura University. Myself, Jailal Sarkar. Now, we have a talk based on various microcontroller board and simulation platform for developing real-world application hands-on by Mr. Subhashish Das Mohapatra. Mr. Subhashish Das Mohapatra has more than 12 years of experience in software development and implementation and maintenance handling both the technical and functional aspects of the software process. AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate with sound knowledge of the design of cloud architecture and development of a scalable and load-balanced resilient architecture, expert in mobile application development using Android applications. Having a good exposure to server-side development using Java technology, PHP, and .NET. Now, I would like to invite you, sir, to deliver a hands-on session for us, sir. Sir, please come forward.
Thank you, Joylal, for that wonderful introduction. And a very good afternoon to everyone present. So, as Joylal already explained, my background is on software development. So, but I have my own exposure on various simulation platforms on microcontroller-based boards. So with whatever knowledge I have, I will try to explain everything and hope everyone will gain some knowledge, some sort of knowledge out of it. So let me just first of all share my screen. I will stop my video to keep the bandwidth a little bit safe. So
yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen. Jalal, please confirm if you can see my screen. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, so today's topic is microcontroller boards and simulation platforms for deploying real-world applications on IoT environment or IoT field. Okay, so I'll start straight away with an brief introduction about microcontroller board. So I think at this point, I don't have to explain much about microcontroller board because this session is about IoT. So anyways, a microcontroller board is nothing but some circuitry and hardware. Basically, they are designed in a certain way in order to facilitate experimentation within a certain microcontroller board's features. Okay, that means let's suppose we are implementing something on real world using some microcontroller board. We need various peripheral devices to work along with the microcontroller in order to provide us proper sensory data or actuate based on some input, maybe some user input or environmental input. So this microcontroller board consists of almost everything that we need. Okay, that means it is that there is a microcontroller, there are certain ports, there are certain other devices, like there are memories, there are some chipsets, there are some onboard peripherals, like for example display devices like LCD, keypads, USB serial ports, etc. Okay, all of these combined together in a smaller form factor, okay, which is boarded on a single PCB board or printed circuit board, that is known as a microcontroller board. Okay, so it's also, that's why it is also known as a single board microcontroller. It is basically a printed circuit board on which all these devices, different devices like processor, memory, chipsets, etc., motor driver, etc., are embedded, and which provides us as per our requirement, whatever program we do, it provides us that facility which can enable us to implement our architecture for a specific IoT based environment. Okay. Now, specifications of microcontroller boards are basically different bus types. According to bus types, we can specify different microcontroller bus. Then there is processor type, different type of processors based on the model of the microcontroller board, or maybe based on the manufacturer of these microcontroller boards, they can be differentiated. So bus type, processor type, then memory requirement or onboard memory that are installed on the microcontroller board. Then there are various number of ports, input, output ports, then different type of ports we use, and along with that, what particular operating system it supports. And all these features together specifies a specific microcontroller board. We'll see the different, a few I have selected to explain a few microcontroller boards. So we'll see how these factors determine what is the different type, what are the different things we use. Okay. Now, the main purpose of a microcontroller board is to evaluate a certain program for embedded devices. Okay, for example, different home appliances, maybe robotic implementations, or let's say point of sale terminals, etc. These boards specifically are used to check or evaluate our programs for these kind of embedded devices. So we can reprogram, we can program and reprogram our microcontroller board to achieve the desired result. And finally, it can be produced as a product itself. So this is basically a microcontroller board is. Now, the first microcontroller board we are going to discuss today is Arduino Uno. Okay. Arduino Uno is pretty popular. It's basically an open source electronic prototype platform. That means we can, it is an open source device. You can, it is an open source hardware device. So you can in fact use a simple breadboard and assemble all the components that are placed on this particular Arduino Uno device and create your own design out of it. Okay, that means you don't have to purchase this one, rather than you can assemble everything to get the desired result. Okay, so that's why this hardware platform along with its software platform, all of them are made open source. So that's why it is known as open source electronic prototype platform. Basically, it is used for creating interactive electronic applications. Okay, that means it has certain input ports. So user can use these input ports to basically interface with the input devices. There are certain output ports, output pins, which can be interfaced with the output devices. Then we can write a specific program to this microcontroller and we can get the desired result or whatever result we need through these microcontroller programs. Okay, so basically it is an interactive electronic applications. For different interactive electronic applications we use this thing. For example, let's say you want to implement an IR sensor based application, the infrared sensor based application, which gives you certain value or certain data regarding the sensed data. So that thing you can implement this one using this Arduino Uno. Then it has everything inbuilt. Okay, if you purchase the Arduino Uno device from the market, it has everything that Atmega 328P microcontroller needs. Okay, but the core of this Arduino Uno board is this microcontroller, that is Atmega 328. Now, whatever this microcontroller needs in order to operate properly, we everything is embedded within this particular board. Okay. Now the major features are like as I said, the microcontroller is at Mega 328P. Now it has 32 kilobytes of flash memory, okay, which can be flashed and reprogrammed. Input operating voltage within this microcontroller is 5 volt. It uses very less amount of in operating voltage to operate throughout the circuit. Now input voltage, it is always recommended to provide 7 to 12 volts, which can be powered through this power jack. Okay, we usually use an adapter to power this device. Nowadays, the other variants of Arduino boards are powered by the USB ports itself directly. So we don't need to have another extra pair of adapters in order to power this device. We can power it from our computer itself. So no need to give some extra power. Now input voltage limits are 6 to 20 volts. That means it can handle from 6 volts up to 20 volts of input voltage. Otherwise, if you provide more power to this device, so it will easily fry up, so it will not work. The microcontroller will simply be destroyed. Then digital input output pins, it has in total 14, which are placed over here, this side. Okay, these are digital input output pins, out of which these 6 pins provide you the output pins, digital. If whatever digital calculated value or digitally computed value from this microcontroller we can get as output from here, whereas we can provide digital input through these particular pins. Okay. Now there are also some analog pins where we attach our sensor or actuator devices. Like here, there are 6 analog input output pins which can be utilized for that particular purpose, where we need some analog input or analog output, like for example interfacing with our sensor devices. Then these are the power pins. Okay. These are the power pins which are used for powering the device, which we can use these for powering our different devices, peripheral devices, and the devices attached to this particular Arduino board. Okay, so this is the main architecture. There are reset buttons. There is a USB jack through which we can connect to our computer in order to flash this microprocessor, this microcontroller, or to write our program to this microcontroller. We can use this USB jacks. Then this is the crystal, that is 16 megahertz crystal, which provides the necessary clock cycles to this particular board. Okay. Then there is a resettable fuse. This is a resettable fuse which can be reset in case of eventuality. This is an reset button which resets the entire device. So when you use this physical device, physically you get to see different things, but just you need to know all these things. Okay. Now next up is different types of Arduino boards. Because Arduino boards are so popular, there are many variants of Arduino boards. There are entry-level boards. There are some boards with enhanced features, like I just explained the Uno, that is the basic entry-level board. Then there are enhanced with enhanced features. There are Mega, Zero, Duo, etc. Then IoT, particularly developed for IoT. There are many boards available for the specific purpose of IoT. Then there is some educational, there is wearable devices. Then there is for 3D printing also, there are certain boards. So this is actually the Arduino board family. Okay, this represents the Arduino board family. Now coming up the next, what are the applications of Arduino board? Basically, some examples we can take, like RFID sensed device access. Whenever you are using let's suppose you want to interface with radio frequency identification devices, which reads the RFID sensing is done. Then we can implement this on some industrial applications control system, appliance control system, by, let's suppose, decoding dual tone multi-frequency signals via some GSM network. We can simply interface with an GSM card. Then we can interface with different industrial grade appliances. Like, for example, if you want to track a vehicular movement, you can implement a GPS chip paired with the Arduino board on the vehicle itself, which can transmit back all the information through the GSM to your computer or server, all the necessary data that is needed. Okay. Then underground cable fault detection is another popular example, where we can detect various faults by placing some devices in between at a certain range, and we can easily detect underground, because nowadays in smart cities, mostly the new cabling system, the power management system, are done underground. Okay, no overground cabling system are implemented there. They are being reduced pretty much. So in those cases, detecting a particular fault at a specific point is gruesome or problematic. So in order to handle that, we can implement some Arduino based underground cable fault detection mechanism. Then there is home automation, which is very popular since last few years. This is the most talked about project or talked about subject in IoT, that is home automation, which can be easily done using Arduino Uno board. Now, next up is a Raspberry Pi development board. This is another microcontroller board, which is very small in size. Actually, its size is pretty small. It can fit over your credit card. Okay. Now, you can easily plug in monitor your computer or maybe your television to this particular card, and it also can be interfaced, or it can be attached to a keyboard to get the input using the standard USB ports that is provided. You can attach the mouse, the keyboard, and it has an HDMI port, so you can attach the system or monitor to the board, and it can be used as a full-fledged computer on a single small device. Okay, for maybe some sort of application, some sort of calculations, computations, which can be done on low power devices, you can easily do it. Okay, basically Pis are used in edge computing, where we place these Pis at the end, where the necessary data calculations or computations can be done, and the calculated or computed value can be transmitted to the server end. Okay. For example, let's say you want to implement some image analysis on the CCTV camera, okay, where you need to detect a specific thing or specific behavior of a person, then only you need to send an alert to the user. In that case, we can use this Raspberry Pi because of these particular features. It has a 1.2 gigahertz 64-bit quad-core ARM V8 CPU. Okay, so along with that, it has a wireless LAN, 802.11n wireless LAN. Bluetooth support it has, that is 4.1, and it incorporates Bluetooth Low Energy. Okay, then there is 1 GB RAM. There are 4 USB ports, 40 GPIO pins, then full HDMI port, which can be connected to any computer system or any monitor, then combined with 3.5 mm audio jack and composite video. So there are camera interface there is display interface, there is micro SD card slot which can be used to store certain data, a number of data in the board itself. Okay, then there is 3D graphics core that is provided by Video Core 4 3D graphics core. So we can handle such graphics applications also, and its software capability involves Debian Linux based operating system that is known as Raspbian. The logo for this OS is basically a Raspberry Pi fruit. So this Raspbian is installed or loaded on this particular Raspberry Pi board, and it is a full-fledged operating system. So it supports Node.js. We can install Java. We can install the LAMP stack. We can use Python programming on this board itself. No need to have any extra device or extra computer for all the computation tasks. So these Raspberry Pi can be easily put at the edge location or just near to the capturing device. Maybe it is an image capturing device, audio capturing device, or maybe any sensory devices. Okay, we can put our Raspberry Pi at that point, and let's say there are some heavy load calculation is going on at the edge. We can do it on Pi, and then finally whatever output is taken, we can transmit it back to our server. That way our server load is pretty much reduced. And the main point is that this device is so small in form factor that it can fit into your pocket also. If you it can fit into your pocket, so you can carry it in your pocket to anywhere, and if let's suppose immediately you need to use somewhere with something, you can easily use it. Okay, now next up, what is the applications? Okay, so this development board can be used as a mini computer. Just like I said, it is a full-fledged computer, so you can carry it anywhere. You can connect a USB device, a USB keyboard, USB mouse, or maybe a Bluetooth keyboard, Bluetooth mouse, and a monitor to this particular device, and you can use it as a full-fledged mini computer. All the computations tasks can be done over here. You can host web files on this mini computer. You can launch a web server, okay, because it supports all these programming features like HTML is supported, Java is supported, a LAMP stack is supported, which comprises of PHP, MySQL, and Apache. So you can easily launch a web server using this mini computer. Then you can manage your blog sites using this Raspberry Pi. Okay, you can let's suppose you are doing live streaming kind of thing, like just like nowadays many people prefer doing video logging using YouTube like platforms. So they can use this kind of device in order to capture their activities because this fits into your pocket and it uses very less power. So you don't have to bother about power requirements or pocket friendliness or anything else. You can use it to capture your day-to-day contents, and you can log it or you can host it on the device itself. Now, this is particularly mostly this Raspberry Pi are used in robotics. Robotics has many use of Pis. Then huge amount of applications you can find in automation sector, automating businesses, okay, or automating industries. So those are the application of Raspberry Pi. Then we can develop IoT applications using Raspberry Pi, which of course, as it provides more features, is very useful. Now coming to next one, that is BeagleBone Black development board. It is a very popular open source computer. It is just similar just like our Raspberry Pi. It is also a open source computer. So it has a built-in wireless networking capability, where Arduino board lags this feature Raspberry Pi and BeagleBone Black development board has this feature. They have inbuilt wireless networking capability, which are more useful in IoT based applications, because many times we would like to connect to internet in order to send our sensory data or in order to retrieve some data and use it for actuating devices. Now, easiest to use and modify, this is also a credit card sized device, okay, Linux based computer. So it is very easy to use and modify it, okay. It has very low cost, and this board is heavily supported by community development platform. So community supported development platform is there. So you will find, if let's suppose there is some issues, you find you can easily get support from the community, okay. And booting time to install the Linux on this device is basically takes around 10 seconds, which is pretty fast, okay. So this is the BeagleBone Black device, okay. So the features are, it uses a AM335X ARM Cortex A8 processor, now which has 1 gigahertz of speed. Then it uses a 512 MB DDR3 RAM. There is 2 GB 8-bit eMMC flash storage. Then there is a neon floating point accelerator device over it, so which makes this device work really fast. Then two PRU 32-bit microcontrollers are there, okay. Two number of microcontrollers are there which support this processor in its working. Then there is 3D graphics processor accelerator is there, so we can easily manage, or we can easily handle graphics based computations on the device. Then for connectivity, there are USB clients for power and communication also. So you can use the USB device for powering this. You can use the USB input as powering power option for this device. Along with that, you can use the same USB device to communicate with this this board, okay. Then there is an Ethernet adapter, there is an USB host, and there is an Ethernet adapter placed here. So you can easily connect to the internet using, let's say there is no wireless LAN available, so you can use the cable network, okay, or the LAN cable to connect to this device. Then there is HDMI ports and two 46 pin headers are there, okay. In total there are 46 multiplied by 2 number of pin headers, so you can connect many devices to this particular BeagleBone device, okay. And it has a compatibility with Linux, with Android, with Ubuntu, and also Cloud9 IDE on Node.js, okay. So these are the features of BeagleBone Black. Now there is this next development board, which is known as Adafruit Flora development board, which is mostly used in wearable devices, okay. Like, for example, in, let's suppose cloth is, we can use it sewed into the cloth we use, we can put it in the shoes, we can put it in hats, wherever you find its usage with the human capacity. That means it can help detect many features for the human mostly, okay. And it was initially designed for wearable devices. Its aim is to develop a wearable electronic appliance, okay. It is basically shaped as a disc, small disc, coin sized. It is sewable. That means we can stitch it with our cloths or whatever material we wear. Then it is Arduino compatible microcontroller design, so we can interface this one with Arduino boards. Then it comes with a micro USB, Okay, micro USB and NeoPixel LEDs for easy programmability and testing. So micro USB, you can connect it to the computer and program it directly. Now the main features are it uses a Atmega 32U4 microcontroller which powers Arduino Mega and Leonardo. Okay. Now onboard polarized 2JST battery is there. So there is a polarized battery. Simulation using Arduino IDE, we can do the simulation things in Arduino IDE. And then 14 sewing tabs. There are sewing tabs available through which we can sew this particular device to any material, cloth material. Okay. And there are some electrical connectors through which we can connect to the power supply also. Then there is an onboard regulator which regulates the voltage and current supply. Then its major applications, like I said, using electromagnetic field detection, using dress materials. For example, you can design specific coats for those persons who are susceptible to heavy electrical maintenance work and electromagnetic interference. So it can detect when there is heavy electric or electromagnetic field. It can be used for those patients who are using pacemakers on their heart. So we can detect electromagnetic fields using this device and alert the user not to go near a specific power source. Okay, wherever there is some more drastic thing. Then we can use it as a wearable thermometer also, which can continuously monitor your temperature of body. So these kind of applications where it can be used as a wearable device, or we can use it as for wearing by the human users. So these are the specific boards, a few boards which can be found. There are many other boards also available in the market, but mostly these 4 types of boards are used for research mainly, for development of IoT applications also. These boards are popularly used. Now, coming up to next topic is our microcontroller simulator, because you can have devices, like I said, microcontroller devices we can purchase and directly test on them, but rather than testing on a physical device directly, it will be very it will be good if you can program, if you can test your written program on a simulated environment rather than testing on an actual device, which can hamper or which can destroy your device itself. Let's say that you have written some sort of code and the code has something which can break the device. Maybe there is some block voltage or current power enhancements or power manipulations which can easily hamper your device. So in that case, it is very good before implementing on a real world environment, if you can simulate the behavior of your program, if you can simulate your circuitry, that way you can find it more useful. You can find it more usefulness rather than directly implementing and testing out your program or your architecture on a physical device. Okay, so a dynamic application which demonstrates the standard built-in function of your microcontroller is known as a simulator or microcontroller simulator. It basically provides you all the features, all the functionality that is provided by the actual device, the actual actual microcontroller, with a little bit functions that can be only be imitated on physical devices. Except those, you can imitate all the behavior of a particular microcontroller on your device. Now the code is is tested always for a microcontroller unit by simulating the code on a host computer. That means basically we are using a software. So we use a host computer. We need a host computer to test out our code. We simulate it, we run it, then we test it out. It is used for modeling the behavior of a complete microcontroller in a software environment. Okay. Now, the three steps we use in this case are create, test, and debug. That means first of all, we write our code, we create the architecture of a circuitry, then we test it out and find out the bugs, we debug it, then finally whatever the output is, we try to implement on the real world applications or real circuitry. So that this is the process of microcontroller simulator. Now, why we need it? Like I said, it spends less time in debugging. We spend less time in debugging. We learn about things like, let's say, on-chip peripherals, addressing modes without designing the real hardware. We don't have to design the real hardware itself. Okay. Now, it makes it easy to write and test our code, to learn about whatever program we have written, how it will behave on the actual microcontroller. Okay. Now it is very easier to discover if there is some problem in the hardware or software level. Now the simulator requires actually no setup time because you are simulating everything. So you need to virtually do everything. You don't have to purchase the device. You don't have to physically assemble the circuitry and test it out. So you have to do everything in virtual space. So it takes less time actually to set up everything and test it out with your device. We will see in a few moments how we can test it out using a few simulators. I will show you hands-on on that. Now functions, what are the different functions of simulators? It defines the processing of a processor device family with various versions of a targeting system. Okay, it defines that. It monitors the detailed information of a source code and symbolic arguments. Whatever source code we have written, we can monitor the detailed information that we obtained step by step. We can get symbolic arguments as the execution goes on for each step of operation. Whatever operation goes on, we can actually see how the code executes line by line. Then it simulates the ports of the target system for each single step. Okay, we can simulate in each step. We can simulate what will be the port configuration, what will be the power, what will be the input, etc. Now, provides the working status of a RAM. Let's suppose we have limited or we have given a capacity, particular capacity, let's say 1 GB. Then how our code will proceed to execute, whether it will get slowed down or whether it requires more RAM, we can determine here only. Then only afterwards we can implement that much particular RAM on your configuration. The monitoring the response of a system and determining the throughput. Okay, what is the response of a complete architecture? We have designed an IoT, but we don't know what is the response of the system. If when we start using it, what will be the response of the system to powers, to various environmental inputs? What will be the response? We can simulate everything, then provide the complete meaning of present command. Whatever command we provide, what is the output? We can determine what will be the output, what will be the meaning of executing after one command executes. So we can determine what will be the output, what is the if it matches with our expectation or not. Then monitoring the detailed information of the simulator command entered from keyboard, whether it is reading from the keyboard or not. Let's say you have implemented something and you want that it will be inputted from the keyboard itself. So you can determine whether how it takes input from the keyboard, what is the behavior of that. Okay, then or select it from a menu. Let's say you have designed a web interface and you want to input something from the menu itself. So whether it is selecting from the menu itself or not. Let's say you have a written code which can bring data from the cloud, whether it is getting from the cloud or not. Okay, first of all you can determine all these factors, then only you can proceed with designing your physical hardware which will provide you the desired result. Now we are going to talk about two specific simulators over here. One is UNO ArduSim, and UNO ArduSim is a simulator to run Arduino programming and specifically debugging different codes without actual Arduino hardware. Okay, it has specific support to UNO and a few Mega devices like devices. Then we can test it out, the specific code written for these devices without directly implementing to the devices. First of all, we can test it out, then we can implement it. Now this simulates Arduino Uno and Mega board. Like I said, it simulates Uno and Mega boards, and it has an option to select up to 24 input output devices. We can configure 24 input output devices in this simulator basically. This particular simulator was developed by Professor Simmons of Queen's University, Canada. Okay. Now this was initially developed as Arduino. This was initially developed to allow students to test their robotic codes. Okay, the Professor Simons had some students who needed to test their robotic codes, but they could not find a suitable software solution or simulator. So he designed this thing for them so that they don't need an additional hardware or actual hardware, rather than they can simulate everything on this simulator itself. Now it is used for compiling and testing of codes only. Now it supports all the Arduino language elements except one instruction, that is goto instruction, and a few C++ language elements including bit saving, union, and the add all, comma X operator are not supported. A few commands, except these few commands, all the other Arduino commands are supported by this simulator, and it is available free of cost, so you can download it easily and use it to simulate. You can demonstrate if you are teaching, then you can demonstrate without even requiring to use the physical hardware itself. This is the interface of this simulator. I will in a few moments I will show you the actual interface. It has three parts basically. The interface has three parts. One is code pane, this is the code pane, and below this is the variable pane, and on the right hand side this is known as lab bench pane, where we get to see the device usage. Like we can see this is the push buttons we interface, then there is some registers over here, then there are some outputs. Whenever we perform something, we can see the output levels over here on the pin level outputs we can actually simulate. Then it has, like I said, it has certain limitations, like it does not support servo H, wire H, one wire H, SPI.H, EEPROM H. It can be only be emulated. We cannot directly use them. Okay. Then these some libraries are supported. Then execution time are not accurate actually in this simulator, but you can test out your code, your program, whether it is running correctly or not, etc. Okay. Just let me stop my share so I can bring up the simulator and show you how in real world it actually works. So let me stop for a moment. Okay. Just give me a moment. Let me open the application. Okay. Okay. Let me share my entire screen. Okay. So this is the site from where you can download this simulator. This is built in google.com, sites.google.com/site site or Uno Ardusim /services. Here, somewhere in the down, there is a link to it. Last updated in July 8, 2021. So it is pretty updated and they are still working on it. So more updates are coming. So you can use it in order to simulate the real world applications. Now you can search this particular string on Google. So if you search Uno Ardusim, the first option you will receive is the site to which you can go and download this particular software. Now I have already downloaded, so let me browse to my software. So Uno Ardusim, it is a zipped folder. I have downloaded and unzipped it. Let's go inside this folder. Now there is this exe file, unoardusim.exe. Just double click it, it will open up this interface. Okay. So when it opens up, it shows you this interface where a simple program has already set up, okay, which basically starts counting from 0. It counts for the loop and with a delay of 100, okay. It is simply a counter. If you execute this program, it will start counting. Now how to execute? Just click here and run. So it will start counting. You can see the counting has started. You can stop it from here. So the process has stopped. Okay. So left hand side, you can find out this. So this is the Arduino code. Basically, we use all the Arduino code over here. This is known as the editing pane. This one actually shows you the environment. So let's modify a few things over here to test it out as sample program. I will modify this thing. So first of all, in this setup, so how to edit this one? So you can directly double click it. So there is an edit view comes up. Okay. You can expand it. Okay. So here in the setup, so as in Arduino codes, basically we use two functions. One is setup, one is loop. Loop basically loops through all the whatever code we write, and setup is the initialization part where we configure our pin configurations, etc. So I will just remove this count. What I will do over here, I will just set some pin to give some output, and we'll check how the output is coming up or not. So here I will write pin mode. Okay, let's say pin 2. I will make it as input pull up underscore pull up. You can see on the right side it searches through and it gives you the option to select. So you can double click it to select this one. So that way the auto completion feature of this particular simulator works. Then I will put a second pin mode. Let's say 3, where I will put some output. So I'll write output. Okay. Now for this loop, I'll remove this initial program. I will remove these two lines and write my own line. Let's say if the digital read, we will read the input. So we'll write digital read. So basically we have made 2 as our input. So digital write read 2 is, let's say, low. If it is low, then we will make the digital write as high. If it is off, then it is on, output is on. If input is off, output is on, input is on, then output is off. Okay, so that way we can get to see. So I will write digital write. I will write to output pin, that is 3. The value will be high. Okay, now I'll put a else. Here we will write digital write on pin 3 as low. Okay, once you are done with it, first thing we need to compile. There is a option over here to compile. You can you can use keyboard shortcut as Control R, or you can click over here. If all the processes are compiled, then it shows compiled passed successfully. Let me deliberately put some error and I will compile. If it is not compiled properly, then it shows us where we have made some error. So we can correct it, compile again. If it is successfully compiled, then we can accept it. Now we have written our code. Okay, our code is ready. Now we need to run it. So for running, we can click on execute and run. So here you can see it is running. This latch over here, pin 1, which is connected to our input, that is 2. Oh, sorry. So we need to configure this one also. Which pin is what? So pin number 2, we are pushing this button. So we have to configure pin number 2. We have configured it. Now if I press it, you can see the value is changing over here. Okay. 2 is input, 3 is output. So once I click, so output becomes 1. Once I leave it, then output becomes 0. So this way you can simulate the output behavior of this particular pin. You can configure different things, like let's suppose you are using some registers. So you can put the value particular of the register over here, and you can use it inside your program, what value the register will receive, and then you can simulate the actual behavior of it. Let's say you are connecting the LED also, you can simply put the pin number over here. These boxes are basically for particular pin numbers where it will be connected. So you can put the pin numbers, and accordingly you can write the code and you can check it out. So this is serial, this is a TFT. There are different devices. This is a segmented display, segment display. Then this is a motor. Okay, this is a servo. So these devices, these are the peripheral devices that you can connect using the pin numbers over here. These boxes specifically show the pin numbers, what pin number you want to use it. Okay, so this you can find useful where you don't have to write where you don't have to configure the circuitry entirely, but you need to just write the program and test it out how it will behave on the actual simulator kind of thing. So in that case, you can use this particular Uno ArduSim simulator. It is free of cost to use it. So you can easily find it, you can download it, and you can use it. Okay. So now let me close this one. Okay, I will discard. Okay. Now coming back to our PPT, I hope it is visible. Okay. Now next up is an Tinkercad simulator. Okay, Tinkercad is a free of charge online simulator It is a browser-based simulator which you will find very much useful. Okay, Tinkercad is a free of charge software hosted online. Uh, it was originally founded by a former Google engineer named as Kai Beckman, and his co-founder was Mikko Mononen. It was originally designed for 3D modeling, especially the design of physical items, and these designs can be accessible to general public. They have made provision to that. In May 2013, Autodesk acquired this Tinkercad. Now, this Tinkercad integrates the circuit simulator, the IoT simulator, and many other things. Now, it is supported in browsers. Latest version of any Google Chrome or Firefox you can use to use this particular simulator online. You need to have your operating system minimum of Windows 8 if you are using Windows, and Mac OS 10.9 or higher, because it uses capability of your system's graphics card. So that's why they have made it provisioned like Windows 8 or higher, Mac OS 10.9 or higher. In regard to Linux operating systems, I have not tested yet on any Linux platform this particular software, whether it works on the browser on a Linux platform or not. But it works on Windows 8 or higher and Mac OS 10.9 or higher. Okay, you need to have an internet connection in order to use this simulator, because this is an online simulator. Without internet, you cannot use it. Minimum bandwidth support 1.5 Mbps is needed. You can connect your system to any mobile, let's say 4G network. Then you can use it. Okay. Then for uploading it, it uses only 512 kbps of bandwidth. So it is bare minimum. Now we can create a free account with Tinkercad, which is by Autodesk, and then you can start using it for your different purpose. Now its features are its deliverables, including circuitry and robotic design. You can use it for different circuit designs and robotic designs. It provides a hands-on experience for activities and simulators. So you get to see all the things, different kind of devices, how to club them together into a particular circuitry. You get a hands-on experience on that. Okay. Then you can export your designs as OBJ, STL, or SVG file, and you can also download the image as PNG, or send it to any 3D communities where you can share your ideas. Okay, the circuit modeling, that whatever you have created is private to your account only until you want to publicize it, or maybe make it available to the general public. So until you do that, it is private to your account only. So you can easily save your designs to your account in this Tinkerboard. Now, simulated Arduinos can be programmed in Tinkercad using visual code blocks. There are two types of editing of code here. You can use visual code block, or with text editor. You can use text editors for the purpose. Then code from simulation can be uploaded to the Arduino IDE software directly in order to program a physical Arduino board. So you can download the code and you can upload that into your physical devices. Okay. So let's go on and see how we can use the Tinkerboard. Let me open up my browser again. tinkercad.com is the site where you will find the Tinkercad software. Now, for logging in and using this particular software, you need to have an account. You can click on join now and use your Google account, or you can use your community school account or business account, or you can use your personal account also in order to create an account, or you can use Google account to log in directly. You can click on sign in and use your Google account or Apple account or Autodesk account. If you have an Autodesk account, you can use that also to log in directly. Okay. Now I'll click sign in with Google. I have already created my account using my Google account, so I am signing in. Okay. Let me choose another account. Okay. So continue. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Okay, this is for 3D design. So as you can see, you can create different type of things. There are 3D designs, circuits, code blocks, or you can create lessons for your classes also. You can create a collection where you can store all your designs. Okay. The navigation is pretty simple. Now you can click on create new design. It is taking me to 3D design because I have selected that one previously. So I'll select circuits from here because I want to create an Arduino implementation. So circuit. Now create new. You can try out the existing design. There is a button where you can try out the existing design, or you can create new. So this is a starter kit. So you get to see this screen where this is the designer page where you put all the elements from this panel. These are the components. Different components are listed over here. You can browse through them. You can search through it. Okay. Let me drag and drop the R3. So this is my R3. Okay. Now I can name it. So just you can change it. Let's say my board, sorry, BOARD, my board. I have named it as my board. Now let's put an LED which I will make on and off using a timer switch. So I'll put an LED. Okay. The color, I can choose what type of color I want, green, yellow, or orange, etc. Whenever I pull a LED to my screen, it shows different colors. You can select a particular color of your choice. Okay. So let's select red. LED, I will name it as LED R. Okay. Now I need to connect them. So first of all, the cathode goes to the ground. So I have to click here and drag your mouse to the particular pin where you want to connect and click again here. So your LED is connected to that. Now my resistor, I need a resistor in order to provide proper voltage to the LED. So for the voltage, I will use for LED, I think resistance will be some 220 ohm. I'll change the value of here into ohm. Then I will name it R1. Okay. Now my resistance has changed. Now I need to connect this anode to terminal here. Click. Then here to, let's suppose D13 I am connecting 13 pin. So my connection is ready. Now pin configuration is ready. Now next thing is I need to have my code. So I can click here. So this one is block editor, where you can drag and drop different components from left to right in order to create a particular block level diagram, which will act as the program for your input. Or you can change it from block to text. If you click text, it's asking me to confirm. So continue. So now it's showing me my program text. Okay. So now pin mode, it has already taken LED built in. So it has already taken what is the pin name is LED built in. You can change it to the pin number also directly without using LED built in. So I'm using pin number 13. This is the output. Now digital wire, digital write, I will write LED built in place of LED built in, let's make 13. First of all, it is high, then 1000. Let's wait for 1000 milliseconds. Then we will change it to again low. So this, whenever you configure a circuit, basic program comes up automatically. So you don't have to bother much about the programs. You can modify it as per your choice. You can attach more devices. Then as per that, you can convert your code into a particular choice. So now if I click start, okay, it is initializing. Now you can see this LED is blinking. So this code is worked. So add a breakpoint by clicking. You can add breakpoints by clicking here. Then when your code runs, so let's say stop simulation, start. So here we can hover it over our mouse. The execution point has stopped over here. You can step over using line by line over here and analyze on which line there are some bug, and you can debug it. Okay, or you can click here to continue execution. Okay, you can click again on this breakpoint to remove it and click here, so your code runs normally. So this way you can debug your code, you can simulate the behavior of on Arduino board, how it works properly, or whatever architecture you have planned, whether it is working or not. Okay. Now you can export or send your code to code and design to people and other applications. You can export a .brd file, which you can store it in your local computer. Okay. You can copy the text from here, or you can download the source code here. Download code, if you click here, then the source code, whatever compiled and tested in the simulator, you can download it and use it to program your physical device. Okay. Okay. Now you can delete certain things, like let's say I want to remove some wiring. So I can simply select the particular wiring and delete it. If I want to rotate my design, some points I want to rotate something, so I can click here in order to rotate it. Okay, more rotations. So this will be like this. So this only for design purpose. Then for wiring also, you can change the color. Let's say I want to use red colors, or I can choose a red over here for different color for different wirings. Okay. Then here different kind of connectors are available. This is normal, this is hookup, this is alligator, and one automatic thing is there. So you can use the connector type from here. This is for wiring. And then components are categorized into different parts also. These are only basic components that are getting displayed over on the right hand side, where you can select different components based on particular criteria. Like let's suppose I want to select only Arduino. So I can select Arduino, and all the Arduino boards with circuit designs, etc., they are available. Okay. Acha. Let's drag something. So here you can see, okay, let me just delete my design. Okay. Whatever design I have made, I will remove it. This is the design, already existing design. You can use it. You can find the code over here. Okay. This is the design that is already there. So you can find the code, you can modify them. As some existing design are there, you can modify them to see how it behaves or what kind of functionalities they provide. Okay. Now, similarly for Arduino or Microbit also, these are some other boards, Microbit boards. These are available. Then circuit assemblies, there are some simple circuit assemblies like glow circuit assembly. This is a glow board only. One battery is there. Then there are two connectors connecting to a LED. Then this is pin circuitry. So you can check them out, how they behave, or if you want to connect different devices to these circuit boards along with your own design, you can use this one. This is a pretty good simulation software which I found very nice, because in order to instruct your students, especially during this corona period where classes are being held online, so this simulator is really helpful, where you can easily demonstrate your circuit ideas to your students. Okay, so there are many more other other simulators also available. Like there is emulator Arduino simulator is there. There is Autodesk Eagle is there. Proteus simulator is one there. These are basically the paid softwares which you need to purchase a few. Then there is Virtuix Arduino simulator, virtual breadboard, avatar hardware is there. Pixsim Lab, Worky IO simulator. Freezing is another cool simulator available in the market which you can use also. So there are a few other simulators which I have not listed, but maybe you will have maybe you have used, or maybe somewhere you may have seen them. So there are many simulators available which are which can be used. Okay. So that's it from my side. If there are some queries you can ask, you are free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, dear participants, is there any question from your side? So, Rajesh sir, is there any question?
Rajesh sir, I think you are on mute.
I think, Subhash sir, for the sake of simulation, we can use Raspberry Pi also, and we can write Python programs, and then we can control the different devices. For example, LEDs, we can make them glow, we can make them also come down as per the Python program. That's what we can do.
Subhashi sir,
We cannot hear you, sir.
yes, please unmute you.
Sorry, I kept myself mute. Anyways, so what I was saying, for Raspberry Pi based simulators, let's say you want to configure some circuitry and test it out on Pi, then you need to have the physical device in front of you. So what my purpose was to entirely simulate all the architectures on a certain software platform that I have shown you. So there
Yeah.
you can design the entire circuit boards. Like you can use Arduino. There are certain simulators also which provide Pi devices also. Like there is Fritzing simulator which provides Pi devices also for circuit designs, where you can virtually connect different devices and test it out your code or whatever you want to perform. Then you can implement the circuit in actual devices, then you can test them out.
Exactly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So has there any other question? So thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful presentation and your hands-on session and sharing your knowledge with us. And thank you for sharing your information such as microcontroller board, Arduino Uno, types of Arduino board, application of Arduino board, Raspberry Pi development board, BeagleBone Black board, Adafruit Flora development board, microcontroller simulator, function of simulator, then Autodesk Tinkercad simulator, and so on. Sir, thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time, for giving us valuable time, sir, and more importantly, take care of your health, sir. And I would like to mention one thing that, sir, what is the condition of Bhubaneswar now, sir? What is the situation here?
Situation is good. Actually, official.
Offices are closed.
No, offices are open. In fact, markets are also open. The official counts are gone down below 100, the official records. But there are cases coming up. But we can say normal life goes on, whether COVID or not COVID, and work should go on. So I am in fact in my office right now. I'm sitting in my office. Yeah.
Okay. Sir, earlier you were associated with Google Cloud Lab, I think. So could you please share your knowledge about that?
Yeah,
to our participants?
actually, I was associated with Google in my previous employment.
Okay,
I
sir.
was heading the Center of Excellence by Google in one of the universities over here, that is C.V. Raman Global Universities,
Okay, sir.
which had an MOU with Google. Partnering with Google, we were providing various latest technology training to the students, like Android development was there, then Google Cloud implementations, Google Cloud architecting training was there. So a lot of things we were performing. Basically, mostly they were on Google platform.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot
you
for
so much.
inviting. It was a good experience for me, and I hope every participant here has gained something from my very little knowledge. So, anyways, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Yes.